But yeah, just from like a bunch of people being like, oh, it's like one of the lower rated things by critics and stuff for the new Star Wars movie. And I was like, I really enjoyed that film.
Yeah,
I thought it wrapped up the story really well.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, it was great.
Being a Star Wars fan, I was like, this was...
Yeah, and I heard complaints from people that, or they put it in the form of a complaint that there was too much fan service. And as a Star Wars fan,
What's
I don't
wrong
know
with getting...
What do you want?
Yeah.
You don't want fan service?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
We had every character in there that's ever been in Star Wars, really. Like,
yeah. It's just like, I don't think, I don't want to sound like one of those, one of those fans that's like, I feel like I'm a Star Wars fan because I like Star Wars. I feel like I like Star Wars no matter what. Like even Episode 2, it's a bad movie. I can admit that, but I still like it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think if you're like, oh, I didn't like this Star Wars movie, or they got too much fan service, or they didn't do this right, they didn't do that right, I don't think you're really a fan of it. I think you could say that about anything.
Anything, really.
Right? Because I think that's sort of taking ownership of it. And it's that question like, do the fans or does the creator own the content, or do the fans own the content?
Now?
The creator owns the content. The creator always owns the
He's
content.
The one who made it.
Yeah, and
you like this creation.
Yeah, and I think like writers, I've heard in like reading about them, they say things like, where do you get your ideas? People ask them, and it's a silly question because they just come to you, right? Like if you've ever had an idea about something,
I don't just like walk into my closet and then start ruffling through some boxes and like, oh, it's my idea box. Like
exactly. Yeah, it's silly. So, people are like, oh, this isn't how Star Wars should have gone, right? That was a lot of the stuff with like The Last Jedi that people didn't like. They didn't like that I feel like The Last Jedi, every decision they could have made, they made a different one. And with that one, people are like, there's not enough fan service. So
yeah.
I don't really know what they want, but...
It's like, I think with Star Wars, because it's so large now and there's so many different kinds of fans, it's like you can't please everybody.
No.
There's just no way to please everybody, I think.
Yeah. But, I enjoed it, and I enjoy Star Wars, so, more for me, I guess.
Good to have more.
Let's get to the show.
We have a show.
We do have a show. It's Turn One Soul Ring. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Eric.
And first of all, we'd like to wish all of you, our loyal listeners, a very happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2020. Yeah, jinx. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about some controversial cards, strategies, and behaviors we've experienced while playing the Commander format. And before we get to that, we'd like to give a shout out to the winner of our December Instagram giveaway, which is mtg.dude on Instagram, of course.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, buddy. And that giveaway was for 3 packs of Modern Horizons. We got the blister pack right here.
It's going to send that off to you.
Yeah, we're going to crack it open first.
We're going to open the blister pack, but just send the boosters.
Yeah, because it's cheaper to ship. Yeah. Thanks to everyone who participated in the giveaway, and we're doing our January giveaway now, which is 3 packs of Theros Beyond Death, and we're going to be giving away a couple of foil custom proxy cards as just a little extra. But that's all going to go to one winner. But we'll post that on Instagram. Well, it's already on Instagram. Yeah. So you can go check that out there, and that will close. The entries will close on the January 31st. So go check that out if you're interested in Theros Beyond Death.
You got this month?
That's right. Yeah, and we're doing pre-release this month too. That'll be fun.
We are.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
So let's talk about something noteworthy in the world of Magic. So, yeah, there hasn't been too much that's been going on, but we did watch the Theros Beyond Death trailer.
Yes.
Which is really cool.
Really, really cool.
And is this only the second... Did they do they did a trailer for Throne of Eldraine, and they did a trailer for War of the Spark. But before that, that was like the first time they did these cinematic type trailers.
They had like other kinds of trailers.
Right.
That were like super bad CG.
Okay.
I think you can find them on YouTube. Yeah,
from older sets.
Yeah, there are some older set stuff that they did do. So
yeah,
but nothing of the War of the Spark was kind of the first one to like hit that caliber.
Right. Yeah. If you ever seen like Hearthstone trailers for new sets, it's all like just like images, and they're like moving over a background. Like they look good, but they're not animated.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are like Star Wars: The Old Republic cinematic trailers. You remember those?
Yeah,
make
those are
make a
good.
show like that. You know.
But yeah, so these trailers, they do have really good CG, and then I'd say they're like well put together in terms of like cinematic kind of trailer. Kind of like gets the feel of magic and what's happening. So.
Absolutely.
War of the Spark was kind of serious, lots of stuff going down. Throne of Eldraine was like a really funny, kind of like quirky one.
Yeah, that was fun with the gingerbread couple.
Yeah. And now here we have Theros Beyond Death, which was
Pretty dark.
pretty dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like the scenery with the child.
And a zombie child. Ashiok's causing problems again. Yeah, that zombie child's face was like that was pretty rough. That it's pretty haunting.
A little bit haunting, yeah. So I do like the whole feel of this trailer, especially because like we're in Theros Beyond Death, so it has that very. It was rumored Elspeth was coming back. We know we have Elspeth now, and this is where she's coming back from.
Did she die?
I think so. Yeah, that was
in previous sets.
Like a while ago. It's been like Avacyn.
Okay. Wow.
I'm not sure.
Don't quote us on that.
It's been a while ago, and people have been wanting her back. So, and I think it's really cool how this is how that little trailer goes, and then Elspeth's coming back, and the mechanic is escape.
That's right. Yeah, escape your fate. That's the tagline for the set. So
yeah,
that's fun.
So
yeah,
gotta love that Magic flavor. So I'm really liking what they're doing with this.
Oh yeah,
yeah. On top of that, Magic also has, just to make a little another tidbit, we had the Video Game Awards were in December.
Okay.
And so they always show off trailers for other things.
Yeah.
And Magic has a new game coming. And it's going to be an MMO in the style of like World of Warcraft or something like that, possibly. But they're saying it's an action combat one, so it should be more stuff to do compared to just waiting around, more like waiting for hotkeys and stuff to end. So
okay, I never played World of Warcraft.
Me neither.
Or any. I don't think I played. You remember Phantasy Star Online?
I do.
I played that on Xbox.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more like that, where like hit a button, your guy makes an attack and stuff. I think that's what they mean by like action combat MMO.
Okay.
So we'll see though. I think it's cool. We'll see like, what they do with that, and more Magic story is always cool because we also are supposed to be getting a Netflix show at some time too. So
is that going to be a computer game, or is it just going to be on like PlayStation, Xbox, and PC?
I think it'll be PC. I don't know if it's going to be
PC
on
to start with,
but maybe just PC to start. Yeah,
right.
It has an interesting trailer.
Okay, well, I'll check that out. We're going to start with the controversial strategies. So before we get into some of these strategies, I think we can safely say that the reason why they are controversial is because they feel unfair.
Yeah, they're not your standard way of winning the game.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can feel a little bit cheated by how much maybe easier it seems it happens.
And seems is the operative word there. And yeah, they sort of feel like they're operating outside the usual rules of the game. And, again, just to reiterate, I don't know if I've said this yet, but this is just our opinion. So, we both know the rules of the game, right?
Yes.
I'm never like, that's so unfair. It's like, well, the cards are legal. Yeah.
This is how the game works.
So today we want to talk about and analyze these like cards and strategies to show you that they really aren't that good. And by good, we mean game winning.
Yeah.
So the first strategy is Infect. So is Infect as a strategy even good?
Yeah, is it? I mean, it was in Modern. People were seeing it played around in Modern and stuff. And like, ooh, let's try that in Commander, like.
That's right. Or it's the standard of its day.
Even the standard of its day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was real powerful.
That's right. Yeah, well, Phyrexian mana is just nuts. That was a big mistake. So in the same way that we like to think about the damage we need to deal in a regular game of Commander, this same metric can be applied to an Infect strategy. So instead of having to deal 10 points of Infect damage to a player, you'll have to deal 30 points of Infect damage. If you have 3 players, 40. If you have 4.
Yeah.
But unlike Commander damage, once you've stuck an opponent with 1 poison counter, you really don't need to deal more combat damage to kill them, because you can take the proliferate strategy, which is something you can't do with Commander damage. It has to be combat.
Correct, yes.
So that can kind of stink.
It can, because then you're like, well, now I have this counter on me and I really can't do anything about it.
And, if you have Inexorable Tide and a bunch of cheap spells, That's because inexorable tide is whenever you cast a spell, proliferate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But speaking of infect, I was talking to Eric about this before the show. I was looking at some old sets, and I found a card from Homelands called Leeches. It's 1 and 2 white for a sorcery. Target player loses all poison counters. Leeches deals 1 damage to that player for each poison counter removed in this way.
What a card!
I know. I didn't even know.
I didn't know.
You could. I didn't know there was any card that would
remove poison
counters or remove counters from a player.
Yeah.
Because we have cards that remove counters from permanents, but not players. So that's kind of fun. So
have it in your sideboard for the infect players.
Yeah, from home. It's like I don't think that's legacy, I guess. So it's hard to say that any strategy is objectively good. Because when the whole table is against you before the game even starts, and it's often the situation that infect find themselves in.
Yeah, people are like, hey, I see that. I only need to take 10 damage instead of 40.
Yeah, they just don't like
it.
So they're going to target that player maybe when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
But it's still going to make the infect player probably not have the best time. It's kind of something similar that I find when players are playing a steal everything deck. Right, like a Memnarch or a Empress Galena or that dragon one, Kaiga. Is that the one when it dies? That cycle of dragons?
Yeah.
And then you do the copy
That's the
thing.
blue one,
yeah, it's the mono blue one. I find that people they just don't like having their toys taken away and played with by another person. I don't like it, right? It's kind of irrational and it goes outside the normal confines of threat assessment, right? We're just I just don't want my stuff taken. I don't care. Like if Eric's over here just ramping like crazy and putting a bunch of fatties on the board, I'm not even worried about that. I need to get rid of this Memnarch. Which
is kind of funny because also the thing I find really interesting about the Steal Your Stuff decks is that those decks are only as good as if your opponent's decks are actually good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're playing against the people doing some jank stuff, you're not going to go very far.
Exactly, and it's it's the same thing with a card like Mind Stylation or Atali, where you're getting the top card of a player's deck, and it's like, well, if they don't have good cards,
like if you're playing against Riley's Halar, is it Halar?
That's the kicker one.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like you don't if it's these bad kicker creatures, you don't want those. Mm-mm. He only wants those, so it's like in
that's
that
only
situation.
Help Riley. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
So the next strategy is commander damage, or like a Voltron strategy. So it's similar in a lot of ways that we just talked about with Infect, but I think commander damage as a strategy is better than Infect, just from a win rate point of view.
Yeah, because there's a lot being able to focus on your commander compared to how many actual Infect cards are out there. Mm-hmm. It's just a better strategy.
Yeah, and there are better commanders. You always have access to your win con because it's in your command zone. Mm-hmm. Although I guess with you could play a Skithrix deck,
I was gonna
right?
say,
and just
the one. Yeah.
There's the one Voltron/Infect commander,
which is real rough.
It is rough because black has a lot of ways to just pay life to pump creatures, right? Like Hatred is a good card that I used to have a Skithrix deck, but I stopped playing it because, well, we'll talk about that later. So, and I think opponents tend to be less afraid of the commander damage strategy over Infect, and they probably feel like they have more time because the damage cap is higher. Instead of 10, it's 21.
Yeah, so it's got a higher damage cap, and then you also don't have to worry about if your opponent does have those proliferate effects as well. Mm-hmm. It's like I can always, if I can somehow block their commander or just remove it off the battlefield,
right,
we're okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, whether or not that's true, I think that's down to, different situations. I think it's clear that neither strategy is the best route to take if you want to be the last person standing in the majority of games. So I think what happens with both these strategies is you take out one player, and then, if you're playing Infect, I think most people are going to target you first. Mm-hmm. And even if you take out one player, those other two players are already against you.
Oh, yeah.
With Voltron, it's a little different, and it doesn't tend to happen until you've one-shotted one person. And if you have a creature that can one-shot players, then it's unblockable, can't be touched, hexproof. Sigard is great because you don't have to sacrifice it to edict effects. Those two players or three players that are left in the game are going to go after you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because that is, that's just a gun pointed at their head.
And they're like,
I can't deal with this.
So to deal with that, I'm gonna just deal with you.
Yeah, you're gonna have to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these two strategies can feel a little unfair, but they're not really that good because you do have to take out one player at a time.
And we've even talked about Voltron before on the show.
Yeah.
And how it's just like not the most competitive or like best deck strategy, just because you only have like the one route to do things.
Yeah.
And if they can somehow shut off your commander or something like that, like what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm. In 1v1, it's great.
Oh yeah.
Like SRAM Equipment's 1v1, that he just does work. But beyond that, it's not that good. Although I will say, like, Voltron is a strategy that's very close to my heart, and I do love to play it because it is fun to just be able to like one-shot players and have your opponents have that kind of fear that they can see the threat on the board.
Yeah.
That being said, I also just like to win with a combo out of nowhere, so whatever. But yeah, let's move on to
quick thing about Voltron. Have you ever thought of doing Thrun the Last Troll?
I have looked at some like deck lists for it.
Yeah,
that he does. He seems pretty potent because he has hexproof, right?
Hexproof, and I don't think he can be countered either.
No, he can't. You're right.
Yeah, so he's coming down no matter what.
Yeah, the best,
and he has regenerate.
That's right. Yeah, the best. The best Voltron commanders have like hexproof or indestructible or both. SRAM doesn't have either, but SRAM is like the best.
Well, he just
card draw engine in white, and he costs 2, so it's just like, okay, we'll just cast him again. Yeah.
And you probably have other cards that you can like pump up as well.
Yeah, and and that's the thing about Voltron. You do need to have. We probably talked about this, but you do need to have secondary commanders in the deck. Like with SRAM, you have Balan Wandering Knight, who you can just attach all the equipments to.
Like Pure Steel Paladin.
Exactly, that's another one. So yeah, you do need alternate commanders if the commander just gets too expensive to cast. And a fatal flaw or a fatal weakness of Voltron, or really any deck, is where the commander is your win condition.
Yeah.
Because if your opponents realize that or they know that from past games, they'll just keep it off the battlefield.
Or they'll play like Nevermore.
Yeah, Nevermore. Absolutely. That's right. Yeah. Or Declaration of Not.
Yeah,
just counter it every time. Yeah.
New one that we found, not new card.
Yeah, I think it's from Morningtide. Yeah. So let's move on to alternate win and / lose conditions. So the only alternate win and lose conditions in Magic are found on just a few cards. So let's go over some of the most common cards, and we'll talk about them as a strategy. So the first thing we'll do is talk about the alternate win condition cards, because the alternate lose condition cards aren't like you lose the game. All the cards that I found are that like you can one shot an opponent to lose the game, or a player loses the game.
Yeah.
So the first one here is Approach the Second Sun. It's 6 and a white for a sorcery. If Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun in this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach of the Second Sun into its owner's library, 7th from the top, and you gain 7 life. So this is all playing standard.
It did actually. It was a standard deck for sure.
Yeah. And you increase your chances of, you could have a second one in your hand, right? So you could just boom.
Yep. But even in Commander, like, you can play this and then it goes 7 deep, draw it, and play it again in a turn. That's totally something I've seen happen before.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, some of these alternate win condition cards can be really good in an Infect or Voltron strategy, because sometimes you like we talked about, it's hard to kill every single player. Mm-hmm. So if you have a card like this, you can just win the game.
Yeah.
And then it's over.
This is also one of those cards I feel that, like, if you're in white, there's a lot of white decks that can just kind of like play this card, and if you end up getting to it, you do, and if you don't, it's like...
Oh yeah, I've run it, and people tend to, because it's like that 7 deep and it's not on the battlefield, people tend to forget about it. Yeah, I know, right? I have.
Yeah, I've definitely had a situation where I've done that, where people kind of forget about it, and then I'm like,
got him. Yeah.
Second cast.
So yeah, I think this one is one of the better alternate win conditions. for that reason that people tend to forget about it.
Yeah. So next up, we have the Biovisionary. So this is a very interesting one. So it's one of anything, a green and a blue for a 2/3 human wizard. It reads, at the beginning of the end step, if you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game.
Mm-hmm. So you could use like clone effects. You could use
things that make tokens of it. You could like
but is it no? It's not legendary.
Rite of replication.
Oh yeah, there you go. Boom, 2-card win right there.
Done.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I always love the art on cards where they have like the Simic art where you have like the orbs or you have like things growing in jars.
Egg things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would never decorate my house like that, but I do I do like that laboratory look, you know?
You just have like, like one room in your house that's like looks like you're a mad scientist.
No one's allowed to go into.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have an oldie. It's Epic Struggle. It's 2 and 2 green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more creatures, you win the game. I've never seen this card played, but I don't think it would be that hard to get to in a token deck.
I don't think so either.
Right?
But I actually haven't seen. I'm with you on that one. I haven't seen that played.
Yeah, and a lot of these cards are upkeep triggers. Like a lot of the older cards are upkeep triggers, which that's the thing. It's you have to make it to your upkeep. So unless you can flash it in, people are just gonna be like, okay, we got one rotation to blow that up.
To deal with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also a huge weakness for these cards.
All right. Next up is the Felidar Sovereign.
Mm-hmm.
This is a white all-star.
Yeah.
So it's 4 of anything, 2 white for a 4/6. It has Vigil as lifelink. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game.
This is a case of a card that was printed before Commander was as popular as it has become.
What do we start with again in Commander? I think it's 40.
I've lost to this card a couple of times because if you can get it out early enough, people are tapped out. It's just like you can't. Well, or I've had it flashed in on me. You can't do anything about it. If you can't remove this, well,
good game.
Yeah, or if you can't deal damage, that's just the way it is. And it'll, and you're probably playing this in a deck where you are gaining a lot of life. So even if people, they need to remove this as opposed to dealing damage to you.
Exactly. You're probably going to have some sort of life gain on the deck. So this one is always feels bad, I find, for people because like we start the game at 40. Like that's such an easy, cheap win.
Yeah, it's like Sarah Ascendant.
You'll have Sarah Ascendant in the deck too, right?
Or Soren Markov is another one of those cards. It's like this doesn't feel fair because
the life total thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Helix Pinnacle. It's 1 green for an enchantment. It has Shroud, and you can pay X to put X tower counters on Helix Pinnacle. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters on Helix Pinnacle, you win the game. So you just get infinite mana and win the game. I've seen this win with like a Marwyn deck, that elf commander from Dominaria, where whenever you play an elf, she gets a 1/1 counter, and then you can tap for green for her power. Yeah, and that's just like it's pretty easy with that deck. I've seen like a turn 2 or turn 3 win with this, and because you just get infinite mana, and like I can't exactly remember how he did it, but it was I checked, it worked.
You're like, oh,
okay, next shuffle up, next game, no complaints here. So yeah, this is definitely I think a pretty achievable one because when you have the option to just I'm going to pay it right now, I don't have to wait for upkeep triggers, I win.
Yeah,
those are the good ones.
Them's the good ones. All right. Next up is one I have actually won with.
Nice. Me too.
So we got the Hellkite Tyrant. 4 of anything in 2 red for a 6/5 flying dragon. Also has trample.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so whenever Hellkite Tyrant deals combat damage to a player, gain control of all artifacts that player controls.
Yeah, this card would be good even if it just had that text. It would still be amazing.
Because with that and trample, like you have to be able to block the 6 damage.
I get all your mana rocks?
Yeah, thank you. But on top of that, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 20 or more artifacts, you win the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, this card's, in any like artifact-centric deck with red, I just pop this guy in.
You should run this card.
Why not? Yeah.
Straight up, yeah.
Dude, my only complaint is that he doesn't have haste.
Yeah, really. It's red. Where's the haste?
Come on, yeah. Okay, so next up, we got a couple of cards that are they do kind of the same thing with how they win. But the first one is Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. It's 1 and 3 blue for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker. His static ability is if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. His plus ability is target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard, then draw a card. And his -8 is draw 7 cards. Then if your library has no cards in it, you win the game. And I'll just read the next one.
Yeah.
It's Laboratory Maniac. It's 2 and a blue for a 2/2 a human wizard. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. So, this, I used to just run Labman and like Azami or like Tatiova, but with the great thing about Jace is that he can activate himself. Right, if you have no cards in your library, he can, plus and just win the game.
Yes.
So, but yeah, these Labman is a card I've won many games with.
Labman is definitely a very common alt win condition I've seen. Which also, I don't know, I think it's a cool alternate win. Milling out your whole deck,
Yeah, game's gotta end, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or yeah, you can mill your deck, or you can draw all the cards and just have no maximum hand
I think
size.
one of the feel bads with this one is Enter the Infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a 2 card. Because Enter the Infinite is you draw your whole deck and then you put 1 card back.
Yeah.
And then presumably
you have your whole deck.
Yeah, you should be able to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enter the Infinite. What a great card.
Yeah. It's got good art too. I like that.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Next up, we got Maze's End. I like this one a lot.
Me too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never seen this card, but I hear people talking about their Maze's End decks.
So Maze's End is a land, and it enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add a colorless mana, but then it does have an ability where you pay 3 and tap it. You return Maze's End to its owner's hand. Search your library for a gate card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. If you control 10 or more gates with different names, you win the game.
See, this is tough to do. And I mean, it's not that hard to do because you just escape shift, but it's pretty, it's a fair amount of hoops to jump through. So
it is.
It's I wouldn't feel bad about losing to this. It'd be like, all right, you got it. You got the 10 gates. And gates kind of suck. So it's okay.
But there is more support that it's gotten with the past Return to Ravnica sets we've had. The Return to Returns.
Because we got an 11th gate.
There's an 11th gate. There's also Circuitous Route, which grabs gates. I think there's another card that grabs gates. So there's more cards that are caring about gates and stuff. Mm-hmm. Then there's Gates Ablaze and that Ram Breaker thing as well. So I don't know how good this is in Commander still, but I know Standard and Modern have seen gate decks.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But I think it's a fun challenge, I think, to win with this card in Commander.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a singleton format. You only have one of each gate, so it's if someone has land destruction, you're kind of hooped.
Totally. Okay, next up we have Mechanized Production. It's 2 and 2 blue for an aura enchant artifact you control. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted artifact. Then, if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. So, this is an upkeep trigger. So you can't just play it on a treasure when you have 8 treasures in play, right?
Yeah.
You still have to it has to be triggered on the upkeep. But yeah, with all the treasures and the food and the artifact just tokens that you can create, how easy it is to create artifact tokens, which is probably part of the reason why Tolarian Academy is banned. That this is really easy to achieve.
Very easy to achieve.
Even on even on turn 5 or 4, depending on when you play this.
And something really fun is to attach that to Panharmonicon.
Ooh, yeah. That is really good.
That's just some fun times.
Oh, boy.
But, with all the, little artifacts we've definitely gotten recently with the treasures and food. This card is so much easier. Yeah, and clues. Yeah. This card is... I mean, it did get printed recently, but, with all that support there...
Yeah.
It's so easy.
No kidding. Yeah.
And talking about that kind of thing, we also have next up Revel in Riches, which is 4 of anything in a black for an enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, create a colorless treasure token artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10 or more treasures, you win the game. Just 10 treasures.
Yeah, that's also not hard to do.
No, especially you play this, you play a board wipe. I think you're set.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh,
no
yeah.
kidding. Yeah.
So this card is kind of, and this is also an enchantment, so they're harder to remove, just like how with mechanized production. But mechanized production is attached to something,
So you can
so you can blow
get
up that
2 for 1.
artifact.
Yeah.
So I think this is a little bit harder to deal with.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then you can definitely proc it right away with just like playing a board wipe and getting all the treasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you could totally like because it's an upkeep trigger, right? So you could cycle Decree of Pain at instant speed,
Oh.
right? And because like that's how you could get an instant board wipe in there.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Decree of Pain.
Yeah, it's a good card.
It's a really good card.
Or if you're in black-white, you can play Route.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And just pay extra.
Cost 9, but
yeah, it's totally worth
you
it.
can still do it. And last up here for like the alternate, just you win the game ones.
Yeah.
We do have Simic Ascendancy. So this one's, I think, the newest. And so it's just a green and a blue for an enchantment. You can pay 1 a green and a blue to put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on a creature you control, put that many growth counters on Simic Ascendancy. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ascendancy has 20 or more growth counters on it, you win the game. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. No kidding. Yeah. And there are more of these alternate win condition cards. We just, we didn't just want to do
All of them.
all of them because some of them are really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These ones I think are the more popular ones. And
Yeah, or just more achievable. I still don't think these cards are great, but
especially Maze's End is a little.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
think Maze's End is. I think the cards where you control when the win effect happens are the better cards as
Yeah,
opposed
for
to the
sure.
upkeep trigger. So, but yeah, these are all fun cards, and if I do love a good alternate win condition.
Yeah.
It's just fun. Yeah, it's just fun, and the game's got to end. I know I say that all the time, but
You do say it all the
yeah,
time.
it's true. I got to stop saying it. New year, new me. All right. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the the alternate lose condition cards that we have. We have just a few of them, and like we said earlier, they're just the most of them are target player loses the game. So it's not like you all lose the game because that would just be you win the game, right?
Exactly.
We just did that. So the first up here is Attempsis All Seeing is 3 and 3 blue for a legendary creature Sphinx 4/5 with flying. You can pay 2 and a blue to tap it, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. And also, whenever Attempsis All Seeing deals damage to an opponent, you may reveal your hand. If cards with at least 6 different converted mana costs are revealed this way, that player loses the game.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah. And I threw this into my Sphinx tribal deck just
It's
for
a
fun.
Sphinx, why not?
Yeah, and whenever I look at Sphinxes now, like mono blue Sphinxes, I always -2 from the mana cost because I'm like, well, I'm gonna have Unesh on the field, so
Sure,
it's a 4 mana 4/5 with flying and an alternate win condition. I'm putting it in the deck.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely a fun one. Just for you have to have 6.
yeah, it's like, and, it's sort of in the same vein as Maze's End. It's like you gotta really work for it.
That one you got to work for.
Yeah,
Yeah. So. So next up is the Door to Nothingness.
I've never played with this card, but I love the art and it's so cool.
I've actually never played with it either, but I think it's a really cool card.
It was one of the cards we gave away in our budget episode that we did.
Yeah.
Way back.
So that lucky person should be playing some Door to Nothingness.
Oh yeah.
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 So it's an artifact for 5 mana. It enters the battlefield tapped, and then you can pay 2 Wooburg, so that's 2 of each color.
10 mana.
10 mana, and tap it to sacrifice Door to Nothingness. Target player loses the game.
So this is really good with Ramos Dragon Engine.
Yeah.
As a commander or just as a card. And you just like Voltaic Key, Manifold Key, Clock of Omens.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to untap artifacts.
And then you just take counters off Ramos to get mana, and out of nowhere you lose the game.
And the great thing is that Door to Nothingness doesn't exile itself.
Yeah, it just
so
goes
you
to
can
the
just bring it
graveyard.
back, right? It's like Nev's Disc. You just keep bringing it back.
Yeah.
I think if it was printed today, it would probably exile itself.
I think so. I don't think they would have this stick around.
Yeah, it's like Aeon Engine.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if that didn't exile itself? Yeah. Jeez, what a silly card. But it's fun. Okay, next up we have Etrata. Yeah, that's right. Etrata the Silencer. It's she is I believe it's a lady. She has 2 blue and a black for legendary creature vampire assassin, 3/5. Etrata the Silencer can't be blocked. Whenever Etrata deals combat damage to a player, exile target creature that player controls and put a hit counter on that card. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exiled cards with hit counters on them. Etrata's owner shuffles Etrata into their library. So do you, if you're playing with her as your commander, she would change zones going into the library. Could you put her in the command zone instead?
Yep.
So you can kind of just not worry about that?
You just need to have a lot of mana.
Yeah. And if you're...
to keep recasting her.
Yeah, and in blue and black, it's pretty easy to get infinite mana if you need it. If you want to take that route. But black is, the second best color at ramping, I would say.
Totally. Yeah.
After green.
That's not so bad. And a fun card with Etrata is Helm of the Host.
Oh, yeah, because it makes non-legendary copies.
Yeah, and then you can just go nuts. So that's the best way to make Etrata work well in Commander.
Yeah, Helm is such a fun Commander card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've never played with it, but it's
again, because making copies of legendaries is something you never get to do. So.
Of course, yeah. And the other card that recently did that was...
Spark Double?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's a fun card too.
But Helm of the Host just keeps making more and more.
That's right, yeah.
And it's really cool too, because if you have a deck that really cares about your commander, let's just take, for example, Yarok. Mm-hmm. Put Helm of the Host on Yarok. You're
and then you have your mechanized production on your Panharmonicon.
Oh my god.
That's going to be... those are going to be long turns. I don't know if I'd keep playing after that.
Play Mall Drifter, draw 8.
Jeez. It's ridiculous.
To dream. So next up we have Mirrodin Besieged. I remember when this got spoiled. So it's a Modern Horizons card. It's 2 of anything and a blue for an enchantment. As Mirrodin Besieged enters the battlefield, choose Mirrodin or Phyrexian. Mirrodin. I think, yeah.
That's if you're from Mirrodin.
Yeah, you're a Mirrodin.
That's right.
So Mirrodin, whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Phyrexian, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card and then discard a card. If there are 15 or more artifact cards in your graveyard, target opponent loses the game.
I put this in my Memnarch deck just because...
Why not?
Come on. Yeah. But yeah, the best part is that it's end step, right? And we've seen a lot more of that in recent years. As opposed to upkeep triggers, we have end step triggers. So we get the value right away, unless they can remove it on our turn.
So it's like someone's dying when you play this.
Yeah, you don't want to play this. You don't want it to sit out there on the battlefield. This is you need to die.
Yeah.
So unless you have giving yourself hexproof, nobody's safe.
Nope.
Yeah, what a cool card.
Yeah, I like this card a lot.
My only complaint about this card is sometimes when you would search it online, you would get just a bunch of cards from the set titled Mirrodin Besieged. But otherwise, great card. And I love that it only costs 3.
Yeah, it's such a cheap...
It's so good. It's so easy to cast. Yeah. Super cool. Okay, next up we have Phage the Untouchable. She is definitely a lady. She's 3 and 4 black for a legendary creature avatar minion. She's a 4/4. When Phage the Untouchable enters the battlefield, if you didn't cast it from your hand, you lose the game. Whenever Phage deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. It can't be regenerated. And whenever Phage deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game.
What a creature.
Yeah, so you could just kill yourself.
You can.
If this is your commander. But there's lots of ways. I was thinking about building around her at one point, and there's a few different ways to not lose the game when you cast from the command zone, like Sundial of the Infinite, or just command beacon her to your hand, right? So, but yeah, if you can make her unblockable, or just don't, they don't block, you're just wide open. You just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So they're going to want to get rid of her.
Totally.
Rest assured.
Because people are going to be dying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool card.
If somebody plays Show and Tell, don't.
Right, because it's not a cast, but it's got to be from your... You can't Show and Tell your commander from the command zone, can you?
No, but if she's just in your hand as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
of
don't
course.
do that. I think this is the last one. Yeah, last up here.
Yeah.
This is a cool one.
Yeah.
So we have triskaidekaphobia, which is the fear of the number 13.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the idea behind this card.
Good. I'm glad you know that.
Yeah. Yeah, do you know all of the stuff about this card?
I know people weren't very happy about it when it was printed as a card in Masters 25 from
That's fair.
Shadows of Innistrad. That's
Yeah.
the watermark there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this shouldn't have been the rare, but...
Well, and Liliana of the Veil should have been the card from Innistrad, but it was Tree of Redemption.
I mean, Snapcaster.
Oh, yeah, that would make it. Do both. Just do both.
Just do both.
Yeah, do both.
It's fine. Let's read the card first. So Triskaidekaphobia is 3 of anything in a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one. Each player with exactly 13 life loses the game. Then they gain 1 life. And then again, the other option is each player with exact 13 loses the game, and then each player loses 1 life.
I actually saw recently MTG Goldfish, probably better known as Seth. Sorry,
doesn't work that way.
Saffron Olive. He did I don't know if it was I think it was a Much Brew, and he did it was a Tree of Perdition.
Tree?
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Against the odds. Yeah.
Against the odds. So it was Tree of Perdition and Triskaidekaphobia combo. So you make their life total 13 and
do that.
That was funny. It was doing work.
Or also on the stack, when you change your opponent's life total, you can make your tree a frog.
Right.
And then the trigger checks the toughness and they go to 1.
That's what he did with not Frogify, that card.
Is it just like Turn to Frog?
Maybe, or like it's not like Polymorphous Jest, because that hits everything.
Yeah.
Or it hits all of target players' creatures.
It's just one thing. But yeah.
Anyways.
And then you put this trigger on the stack and then they just die because there's 1 life left.
Right.
So,
yes. That was the most fun part.
Yeah. Really, really cool. Mm-hmm. This card's really fun though. And then so if you actually look at the art, everything in the art are 13s.
Oh,
so there's
wow.
like 13 shovels, there's 13 shards of glass on the floor, there's 13 logs in the... So there's a bunch of 13s all over the house.
And the guy's running away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so fun.
It's really good.
Yeah, I like that. And there's also like, a card we didn't talk about here for like this section of the show is Demonic Pact. Is another one that's like
that's a good
loses
one.
The game, or there's that newer one from the newest Ravnica block. It's that Rakdos card where like you get to choose, but you give it to another player when you cast it.
Yeah.
Is that something the crowd? I can't remember. I sound like an idiot now. But yeah, that's sort of like a less terrible one of like Demonic Pact, because like Demonic Pact, in the standard of its time, you would also Harmless Offering it to someone.
Yeah. And you'd Harmless Offering it when there's only the 1 choice left, and then...
Yeah, you lose the game.
All they can do is choose to lose the game.
That's right. So, like we said, those aren't all the auto win or lose cards that we have to choose from. Those are just the ones that we've seen most often. And most of the other cards on our list, you as an opponent will see these alternate win conditions coming, and hopefully you'll be able to do something about it. The next section here is the no win condition cards. And this is a much smaller set of cards. And there's actually only one card that I could find that actually causes the game to end in a draw.
I think this is the only one too.
So this is it's Divine Intervention, is 6 and 2 white for an enchantment. Divine Intervention enters the battlefield with 2 intervention counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an intervention counter from Divine Intervention. When you remove the last intervention counter from Divine Intervention, the game is a draw. So, yeah, that's just...
Why? I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is a relatively expensive card because it is from Legends. It's never seen a reprinting, probably because it's kind of strange.
Why would you want the game to end in a draw?
But and I thought when I saw it, well, this must be banned in Commander, but it's not. It's totally legal. Because a card like Shahrazad is banned in Commander because you basically you pause this game and you start a new game.
Yeah,
and you don't want to do that, right? That's not fun.
That's not fun.
And you're always going to have those people that find that fun.
And that's why you got to ban those certain cards.
You have to ban those cards because those people aren't wrong. The people who made the cards just made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then mistakes happen.
That happen all the time.
So that's the only card that has that causes the game to end in a draw. The rest of these cards are more like you can't win the game and your opponents can't lose the game, or vice versa.
Yeah, totally. So first up, we have the Gideon of the Trials. So he's a planeswalker, 1 of anything and 2 yellow. White. Yellow. What's going on? Whoa. So his abilities read, he comes in with 3 loyalty. You can +1, so until your next turn, prevent all damage target permanent would deal. For 0, until end of turn, Gideon of the Trials becomes a 4/4 human soldier with indestructible. Standard Gideon stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the other 0 is you get an emblem with, as long as you control a Gideon Planeswalker, you can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game.
I remember when this got spoiled, and I was looking at it, I'm like, I can't lose. But yeah, you just get rid of all the Gideon Planeswalkers and you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But if you're Gideon Tribal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's a thing.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. You could do like Captain Cisse Gideon Tribal.
Yeah.
That'd be a good deck.
Yeah. Can't lose the game. Got all these Gideons. Just become
put Divine Intervention in.
Ooh.
Yeah. No one's losing the game.
No one.
So next up we have Lich's Mastery. It's 3 and 3 black for a legendary enchantment. It has hexproof. You can't lose the game. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. And whenever you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile a permanent you control or a card from your hand or graveyard. When Lich's Mastery leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. Okay, so you could just sit there not doing anything and not having any cards in your hand or permanents and just top decking, right?
You can. I think. Wait,
that works. Because once you've exiled everything, all your permanents and cards in your hand or graveyard, Lich's Mastery just sits there.
But that was when you take damage, though.
Yeah, whenever you lose life.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying, like, if all you have is Lich's Mastery and you just a bunch of lands, people could just freely attack you, right?
Yep. And then whenever you lose life, you exile a permanent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You control or a card from your hand or graveyard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't love that part.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. And you'll probably end up just losing by getting hit anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't lose.
Yeah, you can't lose the game. So you can be at 0 life and you can't lose the game.
You just won't do anything.
Yeah. That seems really fun, right?
I forgot about this card.
I think we all did.
Yeah. Next up is the Platinum Angel. This is 7 mana for a 4/4 flying artifact.
Good rate.
You can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game.
Yeah, that's fun. But your opponents can lose the game, and you can win the game.
Yeah.
So, that's nice.
It's just some nice protection.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you can give this, there's ways to give artifacts indestructible. So
yeah, Darksteel Forge.
Yeah.
Among others. All right, next up we have Abyssal Persecutor. It's 2 and 2 black for a 6/6 demon with flying and trample. You can't win the game, and your opponents can't lose the game. So that's kind of the opposite of Platinum Angel.
And it's basically just because the card has such a ridiculous rate on it.
Exactly, yeah. 4 mana 6/6 flying trample.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And last but not least on our list.
This one is a 2-card combo. So we have the Phyrexian Unlife, which is an older card. You don't lose the game for having 0 or less life, and as long as you have 0 or less life, all damage is dealt to you as though its source had infect. So you'll get poison counters. So it's kind of like this card kind of gives you 10 extra life in a way.
Exactly.
But if you have also Solemnity, which is another 3 mana white enchantment, players can't get counters, and counters can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. So nothing can get counters anymore. Mm-hmm. So then if you're at 0 life and you get hit, you get poison counters, but then Solemnity stops it, so
you're fine.
You're fine.
Yeah. And you can go get both of them with Zur the Enchanter, right?
You can, yeah. Nice little lock there for yourself. People have to remove them to be able to kill you.
That's right. So there are, of course, other cards that can stop you from losing the game, but those are all one-shot effects.
Yes.
The cards we've listed need to be removed to lift the stalemate effect on the game. In addition to the effects that those cards cause, there is also the strategy of building a deck that prolongs the game intentionally.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this on the show before. And I think I've been pretty clear about my opinion. I don't care for it.
Yeah. Pretty much like if you're going to Armageddon, have some sort of way you're going to win the game.
Yeah, I think Eric said it perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how, something I want to talk about is how best to deal with strategies that we don't like, especially if we like to play them but not against them. And I've got a little bit of I used to play a Brago deck. You probably remember it.
I think so, yeah.
And when I first built it, I did, the classic stacks thing. And I found that wasn't very fun to play against. So I took all the stacks effects out of the deck. I also had stacks effects in my Yison deck, and it also made the deck a little less consistent. But the other thing that it did is it made people made me less of a target. I think like Infect and stacks are kind of similar in how they make you a target when someone sees your commander and they know it's a stacks commander, right? Like when you see like Grand Arbiter, you're like, okay, well, I can't let that stay on the battlefield because it's going to make all my stuff cost more.
Exactly.
I guess what I would do is, and what I've tried to do is, if I'm playing a particular strategy, like alternate win conditions.
Yeah.
That's something that I think, well, that's what the show is about, that some people don't like, some people are fine with it, some people are indifferent. But I think whatever strategy you're playing, if it's a strategy that you don't enjoy playing against, it might be a good idea to like reassess if that's something that you want to be putting other people through.
Exactly, because it's like if you don't think that's a fun thing, but you enjoy making people feel bad,
right?
Like that's not the most fun. We're here to play Magic.
Yeah, absolutely. And which is why I don't play stacks. I don't. And it's on the flip side, it also might be a good idea to try and play something that you don't know if you like. You just have never tried it, like a chaos deck. Like, I don't generally like playing against chaos decks, but if I built a chaos deck that seemed more focused and had a win condition, a lot of the ones that I've played against don't. It's just chaos.
Yeah.
And we do want to play. To see more of our decks, I would rather play more games than long games.
Sure. Yeah.
That's just my little my little stack story. So let's move on to some controversial behaviors that we see in Commander. The first one here is when to concede. So during a game, you can concede at any time. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Technically, you can just concede whenever.
Yeah. At instant speed. And I think this question, so the answer is anytime, if we're talking about the rules. But, we're talking more about like sportsmanship.
Yeah.
In a game of 1v1, if I concede, it's over.
The other person just wins.
Right? You just win.
It's just over.
That's fine. That happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to scoop up, let's shuffle up, let's go to game 2.
Yeah, so it's like, obviously you're in a winning position, I can't do anything.
Yeah, but in a game with multiple opponents, it changes things, right? Like if you concede, if Eric's swinging at me with a bunch of lifelink creatures and I concede in response to his like attack, his declare attackers, then he doesn't gain that life.
Yeah.
Technically.
My combat step is just null and void.
Right.
It's like if I knew you were going to concede, I wouldn't have attacked you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and like we were talking about this recently with our league, and we decided that it's not a good idea to concede to deny another player an advantage.
Yeah.
Did we come to the conclusion that we could concede in the same way that we could respond to spells and steps with how priority gets passed?
Yeah, and I'm thinking like also the way we're doing it is because the league, we have points for things.
Yeah.
If we concede, we're kind of like we have to concede to somebody and like they get the kill for us conceding to them.
If you do concede to someone.
Yeah.
So, like the last game we were playing,
Riley was just...
It was clear that he...
had a board state where none of us could do anything about it.
Really, yeah. So it was a foregone conclusion. And instead of waiting for that to happen, or instead of conceding to an attack or some of my permanents being targeted or a counter or whatever, I just said, okay, I'm just going to concede because I think you're going to win.
Yeah.
So Riley didn't get the kill points, but, like that, it seemed it seemed reasonable to us.
Well, like the game was just gonna. Did he actually not get the points for that?
No, I think we decided that like we could concede if priority was passed to you, you could concede. So if someone goes to attack before they've declared attackers, priority gets passed because you're moving to your attack step.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting next to Riley. He's going to attack. He's going to move to that step. Priority's passed to me. I can then concede. And then he can make his decision accordingly. But I think we decided that he wouldn't get the kill. Because, then I guess I could just concede to Trevor and he could then in response concede to me and we would get the kill points. Right? I think like that's also something shady that we could do.
Yeah, that's something shady that we can do. And I think like this is the situation where like because we're playing for points, like if we see Riley is the one winning, if you're conceding now because his board state, he can kill you in one shot, he should still get the points for it because if he just all out swings at you and you're going to lose, he should get the points at that point because he can all out swing and just kill you.
Yeah, I don't think we were in that particular situation.
I think if we're in a point where we're like, he only has like 5 damage on board, and this is going to take like 15 more turns.
Yeah, let's play
another game.
Yeah, and I think I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's where the stipulation comes in. Is I think that's what happened last game where we were like, this is going to take a while longer. I don't want to wait. Mm-hmm. But I think like if we're in the situation where we see somebody is in a position to kill people, it's not nice to just be like, I'm going to concede and nothing happens here because obviously they are in a position to like win the game or get points. And so they should be able to still do that because we can see that they have that ability.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this, we're talking about sportsmanship, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about like mutual respect and we're talking about being someone that people want to play with.
Exactly. Because then even going back to our first example, if you're just at a new table with people, someone's swinging through a bunch of lifelink creatures and you're like, I'm just going to concede. You don't get any of that. You guys can do whatever.
And I think the other players, I think you could be like, no, you don't gain that life. I'm conceding. I'm out of the game, but you don't get to gain that life. You could take that route. But, having been in similar situations where someone does that and, they're no longer in the game, I would say to that player that's attacking, you can take a couple steps back and decide who you want to attack.
Because if they're going to concede anyways, like, yeah.
Yeah, that's just because, again, it feels unfair.
It does.
It's allowed, right? It's not against the rules.
It's not against the rules or anything, but we're just talking about we're here to have a fun time.
Yeah. And
it's good sportsmanship to...
Yeah, and if you're not someone that people want to play with, then...
When are you going to play Magic?
Yeah. It's just that's something you have to think about, especially with Commander, because you want, especially when you're playing with your buddies in a closed meta, there's going to be some tension sometimes, right? But you just want to keep everyone coming back and playing Magic.
Exactly.
If you like them.
If you don't, I guess just don't play with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That kind of goes without saying. But yeah, I think that's sort of our take on when to concede. So hopefully just saying be someone that people want to play with. I think that's what sportsmanship means to me.
Yeah.
And there's no I in team and all the rest of that stuff. But yeah, just you want to be someone that's like, oh, Eric, I like playing with him, and I do.
I'm playing with you too.
Oh, thank you. So next up, we have the post-game / round handshake. So I did a little research into this. And,
cool.
I learned that in a game of 1v1 Magic, which isn't really what we're talking about today, but it's the choice and responsibility of the losing player to offer their hand in congratulations and to wish a good game and good luck in future games, matches, rounds, etc. So I always just offer my hand, win or lose, and I might continue to do that.
Yeah.
But I actually didn't know that it's the losing players that, they're supposed to be, congratulations, you won, which is, kind of nice. And I guess also if maybe you feel like you got robbed or you feel sour about it and you don't want to extend your hand in a handshake or whatever, you just don't like shaking hands, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Then, you don't have to. But yeah, that's just sort of, and I went to play Modern a couple nights ago and I did this. I didn't just offer my hand. I offered it when I lost, but I didn't offer it when I win. And it was about like one round that I won. I got a handshake, and another round that I won, no handshake. So,
I mean, teach their own and stuff, and
of course. And the person that didn't shake my hand, they might not have extended it if they won. You know? It's all it's a mixed bag when you go out into the wild. So yeah, that was just and that's just one of those weird like etiquette things. Like who knows that I've been playing Magic for 15 years and I didn't know that. So
yeah,
who knows?
I didn't even know that. I just always good sportsmanship.
Yeah,
of course, a good game. Like,
good game.
Even if it didn't.
Even if you didn't have a good game, don't be like, well, it wasn't for me. It's like.
Yeah, like
I'm just trying to
trying to be nice. Yeah, we're just playing a game.
Yeah, it's a game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so funny. The people that are like that say no, it wasn't when you say good game. Like not for me. It's like
hey, buddy.
Come on, man.
It's like I understand, but it's also like sometimes in Magic, there's RNG.
Of course, yeah. And like sometimes I think you and I were both in a bit of like a modern drought where we hadn't played in a while.
Yeah.
And we went down to our local game store and like got some games down. And like I was playing Tron against Death and Taxes. Just terrible matchup for me.
Yeah.
I had terrible games. I had terrible hands. I had terrible hands that whole night. But it just felt so good to be playing Modern again.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I mean, I played against you. We just did a casual match.
I
did terribly. I drew the worst. I got mulling to 5. It's just like, it's terrible. But, it just feels good.
I destroy your exhibition map. I'm sorry.
Gotta destroy something.
All right.
Yeah, it just feels good to play Magic.
Mm-hmm.
So just, we like to keep that in mind. The last one here this is kind of a joke one, but it's piling lands.
Yeah.
Trevor does this.
Yeah.
And we love you, Trevor. Don't.
Yeah.
This is
we
not
do. I get a little bit annoyed by it because it's like just let me see the information.
You don't want to ask, right?
No,
it's like how many. It's like when you ask how many cards you have in your hand. People are immediately thinking like, okay, what does he have?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's also like I just like to know like how many lands you have, or if I have to keep asking for your life total, like.
Right. Exactly. So just let your opponents see your lands, and
it's just nice to it goes like with everything as well. If we just have the information on the board visible, so that I know what's happening in the situation of the game, is just
and like technically we're supposed to be playing with like our mana rocks up above our lands, but like we all like most people play Commander with their lands and their mana rocks together.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever works. But I'd call a judge. We should get a judge here when we play.
Yeah.
We just call a judge on people. Although you and Riley are kind of like our judges. So
I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, you're very good. Yeah. So there were some things we could have talked about, but we've covered some similar things in our How to Play Faster episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, again, I think we had some sportsmanship stuff there. And
like etiquette.
Etiquette of playing the game.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can go back and listen to that one. I think it was like episode 4 or something. So Eric's voice is probably gonna be echoing in my microphone, but we didn't know. we hadn't figured out this setup yet, so don't judge us too harshly. I think we're gonna wrap things up.
Yeah.
And we hope this episode made you think a bit more about your experience as a Magic player and the experience that other players get or have from you.
Totally. And it's like, even what we've been saying about these strategies, it doesn't mean like never play Infect or something.
Of course not.
Like, yeah. It's still a different fun win con, and like you can have fun with it,
And the thing is too, like a big part of Commander that no other format have is the social aspect of it.
Yes.
So you can be playing a hated strategy like Infect. Ooh.
You see that Skitherix and you're like,
But if you're like affable and personable and you use first names, that is a great political strategy that I've started to use in recent months. People they'll associate that hated strategy with someone that they like.
Yeah, you kind of have a tangible, you're like, hey, this person, we're having a game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like being nice is one of the most powerful political strategies you can enact when playing Commander with people you don't know very well. So like I have to say that's something that I've been doing because I'm not very nice instinctually.
Apparently you can be a spike, Kevin.
I can be a little bit of a spike, but I've been being very nice, and man, they paid me back like crazy. People are like, oh, he's nice. I'm not worried about what he's doing over there.
Yeah.
You know, he's just got like 20 like 5/5 elemental creatures that bolt stuff when they die.
It's fine.
It's fine. He used my first name. I like this guy. So yeah, we already talked about the giveaway. The January giveaway.
We sure did at the top of the show.
You can find us on social media on Instagram at Turn One Soul Ring, the podcast. And I'm on Instagram at Command Beacon. I'm almost at 600 followers and I'm going to do a fun giveaway. So
That's 600.
So check that out. Yeah. Yeah, I like to do a giveaway like every 100. I guess we haven't really been doing that with our Turn One Soul Ring podcast account, but we do a monthly giveaway. So
we do a monthly giveaway all the time. So
we do all the time, every month. And you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Also, we do have a Patreon page, so we've got some cool bonus content on there about lore. So if you want to check that out, please do. And you know, wherever you find us, like rate and review us wherever you listen to your podcasts. It really helps us out. If I know on like SoundCloud, you can do like a follow, comment. Let us know what you like. More importantly, let us know what you don't like.
Yeah.
Please.
Like, don't do that again. And we're like, all right.
Yeah. Don't do that again. Don't tell us how to play. And again, we're not telling you how to play. Like, whatever you like to do, go nuts, you know? That's fine. But yeah, thank you. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for, helping us grow so much this year that we started the show. And we're looking forward to creating even more quality content in 2020.
This will be a full... I guess we've been going 8 months?
I guess so, yeah. Because like 52 episodes would be a year.
Yeah.
And I think we've only released one extra episode in a week in that time. So, yeah, time flies, huh?
Time flies.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah,
and
so much fun.
Here. Thank you to all of our listeners.
Yeah.
It was a great 2019, and we look forward to what 2020 is going to bring.
Yeah, we appreciate each and every one of you. Bye now.
Bye.
Turn One Soul Ring.
It is good to have more. And that's the thing too. It's like, why, like, I would never complain about more Star Wars, you know? Like, The Mandalorian is great. We're getting that Cassian Andor show. We're getting more seasons of Clone Wars. We're going to get, you know, they said it's the end of the saga. We're going to get more Star Wars movies.
Well, yeah, we're getting more Star Wars movies, but it's the end of the Skywalker saga, so no more Skywalker. Like,
yeah, I mean, maybe.
Like, maybe they can do, like, a Rey offshoot. Like, it'd be cool to see where she goes, but...
Yeah, but they said that in 1983, right? And they said that in 2005. At the end of every trilogy, it's like,
no
you
more
know,
trilogy.
or
Like,
no, it's the end of a saga. It's like, okay, well, do you like money? So we'll see what happens. But
like, is it Ryan Johnson who's doing the 10, 11, 12?
no, they took that away from him after The Last Jedi. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they took that away from him. And then they got J.J. Abrams back to do it right. I'm just kidding. I like The Last Jedi too.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Actually, really want to watch it again after watching episode 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's things that happen in 9 that do help episode 8.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, it was great. If not, the pacing was a little bit off, but
Yeah. Other than that.
yeah,
Like,
other than that.
I mean, speaking of Ryan Johnson, I also saw Knives Out.
That's right, yeah. I think you had said that.
Oh boy, is that a good movie. If you also just want to go see a good movie, Knives Out, it's just solid. So
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Incredible writing.
Yeah. No, I've seen his other movies like Brick and Brothers Bloom. Great movies.
Brick was one of my favorite movies when that first came out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like 2005 or 6 or something.
I bought it on DVD.
Me too.
Yeah, I remember DVDs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good. You know, people are like, Ryan Johnson ruined my life. It's like, okay, just...
That's a little much.
Come on.